I must say I'm looking smart in this brown jacket and this lovely scarf, and it's perfectly suited for the day 2 of the South Asia Cycling Conference. It's slightly a chilly morning. Compared to yesterday, it's much pleasant. The sun is out in the backdrop, and this is our bus, and we are now heading towards Chicago University for the day 2 of the South Asia Cycles Workshop.
So we have 5 panelists this morning. So the first is Ashish Agashe.
Of course, the obsession with motorized vehicles, stroke aspirations also has a role to play there, because we are what we are. There is that entire socio-economic way of looking at bicyclists, which makes it all the much more difficult. Also, if
so thanks to you guys for organizing this workshop. It's a great opportunity for us from the community part to talk about our initiative and work. Previously, I have been part of some how we can get the communities involved. Because when we talk about cycling, I look at cycling in different aspects. One is the community part, one is the recreation part, one is the sports part, and look at that. Fourth part is the adventure tourism part. People across city. Earlier also a lot of trees across the city have been common issues, but then people are not talking about.
When we work towards the advocacy part, I guess the most important thing is to look at the low-hanging fruits. I mean, easy, doable activities in that particular city, and even if you are able to focus because it could be very tiring effort to cater to 24 million people across Mumbai city. So you look at one ward, put all your efforts in that one ward, whether it is the mobility plan, comprehensive plans and everything, it becomes easier to put up a pilot and then expand it across the city.
No doubts we are, and I'm happy to accept that we are struggling, and there are reasons for it. The first reason is we all are getting off track. We have to keep our basics right. Whenever we talk about the infrastructure, we are talking about bicycle as a mode of transportation. We are not talking about bicycle as a sports. If you tell somebody, okay, it would keep you fit, now tell me, if somebody cycles in this AQI, would that keep him fit? So you cannot say that. And the person would say, in order to be fit, in order to be healthy, I have other things to do. I can go swimming, I can go to the gym, I can do running. But cycle is the only mode of transportation, which is the greenest mode of transportation, that can take you from one place to another, that can keep you healthy, fit, and that can gives you a lot of savings. So our approach to promote bicycle is not correct. I will give you an example. Yesterday we talked about Pimpri Chinchwad. We were there for the national workshop on smart cities. So it was 2 days, long workshop. So there was an artwork, to visualize. Archit yesterday said, let's close our eyes and visualize the most beautiful bicycle track. If I, as a cyclist, close my eye, what I see is a cycle road with a green shade and which is well lit. That's it. No beautification. I don't need selfie points, because when I'm going to work, I don't have time to hold and take a selfie. That's what I'm saying. So we have to keep our basics right. We are getting off track, and that's why, even after putting a lot of efforts from everywhere, we are still not getting what we want.
Hi, I'm Sanskriti Menon. I work with the Center for Environment Education in Pune, and we are engaged in sustainable mobility and road safety. And I'm a cyclist, and I really love cycling for commute. I enjoy it. Working in the field, it's very clear that we have to make roads safer for cycling for all age groups and all genders. And this conference has really clarified quite a lot of those discussions and opened up new areas of thinking as well. And I think the idea, for example, that a lot of cyclists do ride because they're used to it and they're okay riding. But I think it's quite different when you look at also that, India also has the highest number of fatalities. And even though cyclists are riding, without thinking of the risk to them, they are in fact at risk, and these risks do prevent a lot more cyclists, would-be cyclists to join. So I think that was clear. And the other bit is that while we are discussing a lot of the techniques and the technical elements, that cycling and cycling promotion for the everyday commute, this is really a political project, and we really have to figure out how we can get more cycle-friendly policies and infrastructure in place through working with the systems. Surely there will be a culture of cycling, but we need this political engagement much more strongly.
Hi, I am Vikas Khanna this side. It is great to participate in South Asia Cycle Workshop. This is happening for last 2 days. It's great to meet people from different perspectives and different walks of life. It's really a good experience to be among the people from the advocacy fraternity, policy making and the urban planning field. And we're getting a very good exposure and diverse views about the bicycle and its promotion in India. And I'm very sure that at the end of this event, this kind of interaction will continue for the upliftment of this category in the country. All the very best. Thank you.
We have with us four diverse domain experts. There is Matashri, Shiv.
I think there are so many concerns and so many issues related to women being on cycles. But primarily I feel that when you are engaging women in cycling, you are engaging the family also. So how we talk about that if you educate a woman, you are educating a family. Similar is the kind when the women focus on health and cycling, taking up on cycling for various things, she also prioritizes her health. Somewhere there is a connection because we do not often see women doing that.
When we talk about, wanting to change or improve the access of women to cycles, etc., we need to address this fact that they're not necessarily engaged with mobility. And when we're talking about cycling, I know that this is kind of going at complete cross purposes to everything that we've been talking about since yesterday, which is mobility and transportation and stuff like that. But really, like when we talk about women in cycling, it's got nothing to do with that. We just saw about how much more of a percentage of men is driving, and most of them are driving to commute. And those are the numbers that we're looking at converting to more sustainable means of transport. And in the meantime, what about women in this space? And I think that a part of our dialogue about urban areas and urban planning is far too focused on using streets primarily and purely for mobility and transport. I'm actually saying that we don't need to use the cycle only as a means of mobility. It's a means of transformation. It's a means of educating children, making them aware of their environment. There's so much that happens when you cycle on the street, changing people's livelihoods, decentralizing urbanization, these things, because we're talking constantly about urban and now we're talking about peri-urban. And I'm like, so we're still talking about making denser, more uncomfortable living spaces for human beings going forward. We can keep trying to solve this, but finally, like cities are really an outdated model that we need to kind of break down and see how we can discuss a completely different format for how humanity goes forward.
I'll have a very quick answer to the first question from children's perspective, because that's where I come from my research. And taking a step back, historically, children and mobility were not a convergent subject. We all know that transportation was majorly built for a healthy male going to work. And children and other historically marginalized sections of our society were completely out of the picture. And a long tradition, I think we had a discussion, comparison to 1971. 80% of children were going to school independently without adult supervision, and in comparison in 1991 that number dropped down to 9%. So basically the child fatality was not happening because children were not allowed to be on the road alone by themselves. And why I'm focusing about alone? Because if a child is allowed to go to school alone, it is 3 times, and it says in data, and we have empirical research, there's a 3 times chances that the child will be going to school walking or cycling. So it's a correlation, it's a very direct correlation of children's independent mobility and how a child is going to school. So this study was such a landmark study for many countries. So all the countries, especially in the Western world, started to compare their data using the same methodologies, using the same indicator, and they found there was a generational decline of children's independent mobility. Now we have what we call a helicopter parenting, or what we call, too much of stress for the parenting thing. So that's completely declined. And why this surge of interest among researchers on this particular notion? Because research also has evidently proved that a child who's walking and cycling has a number of benefits, including spatial awareness, including not only overall physical activity, but also sense of place. So there's a concept of place, attachment to a city. If a child is not have a memory of enjoying the parks or the nearby streets or nearby, a friend's house or maybe a tuition center, he or she is not at all enjoying and having a sense of place. And it actually translates when a child grows to an adult. So as an adult, then you become responsible, then you are on the street when the government decides to cut down the trees. So it has a very good correlation, and we have a lot of study and empirical data on it. So I'll end on this because this is the benefit, and I think it answers the first question.
I will build on the argument here from a project that I have been doing for the last 7 years, which is now India's first school zone, designed by 9-year-olds. It's not on a paper, it's a complete street experience. So if you are in Delhi or are for the weekend, or please visit, it is in Vasant Kunj. For me, school going experiences was so important. Not even the destination, but the commute itself. Because until 3 they are reading about Hannah goes to city, and you'll see a postman and you'll see this, but here you're actually seeing live actors. But at the same time, the children are also, through situational awareness and sense of place, are also understanding the hierarchy of inequity right there. I also wanted to bring to light through this experience who is designing, who is deciding. So I had to really push a lot of boundaries to show that it's a fluid movement. When a school child goes from point A to B, they are not going through the education department, the traffic department, the public works department. They're going through life. And we have, at the back end, we have the education department, the transfer department, the public works department, who do not, or the system does not allow them to speak to each other in a way that should be easy and fluid. So that's where the system change works. And then my own experiences as a woman architect, as a woman entrepreneur, as an innovator, as a community mobilizer in all these realms of circles also daylighted a lot of gender inequity that really, my skills were questioned, my identity was questioned and multiple times. But the point is that while we're looking at who we are engaging with, it's also important who is behind. And I think that is a point that is mostly missed out, because we are so into participation that we forget the person behind, be it a person who is advocating for it or a decision maker. I think that is one lens which is never spoken about. Also, then why cycling? That is where the question.
My name is Sailendra Dongol. I represent Cycle City Network Nepal and Greenway Nepal. And we've been working on advocating and campaigning for cycle-friendly infrastructure and policies in Nepal. This conference, this workshop here at South Asia Cycles in Delhi was very great because of the discussion that we had from yesterday. We talked about infrastructure planning, and a lot about today. We talked about campaigning, and even in the days to come, we are in the coming day, we are talking about collaboration. I think the most integral part here now, for me, is collaboration with other organizations who are here with which they have come with immense expertise and immense experience working in the field, and and then also great to meet all the cycle users here and hear their experiences, and coming going back to my country with a lot of experiences and also way forward to work and do more back home.
Namaste, my name is Rubin Singh Mahajan from Nepal. So we are from Nepal Cycle Society and we have been mainly working in Lalitpur metropolitan city. So we have built 65 kilometers of cycle lanes and advocating sustainable urban mobility, walking, cycling. So today we are here in South Asia Cycles. It's a great opportunity and we have been collaborating and learning from each other. So this is what we are here, and so basically whenever we talk about cycling, it's about various kinds of cyclists. So we need to consider everyone and connect together and work towards better mobility. Yeah, thank you.
This panel is on design, manufacturing and repair, the actual cycles that we have been talking about in cycling. And I'm excited to have a really interesting mix of panel speakers with us today. I'm going to introduce the panelists and then walk you through the questions very quickly and fast on to the speakers. He's contributed 39 years in the bicycle, advocating for solutions such as cycling infrastructure. He's a journalist by training, so his writing highlights human and environmental toll.
Last Friday session, we are talking about environment, cycling, the path. It will totally in around the talk about the product. So today I am talking about bicycle. How does bicycle take from the start of design? People talking design means there are two various factors. This is consumer design and product design. Consumer design talk about only the aesthetics. How the cycle is in the color, what colors, what kind of stickers they are using. Aesthetically we will talk about. Coming to engineering design, this talk about geometry. So geometry means from kids to adult cycle, how the cycle design is mass made.
So geometry enhancing the competitiveness of the bicycle and bicycle parts industry by bringing in new technologies, processes and learnings for improving the quality, productivity and innovation. I would say globally the trends are moving towards premium bicycles, and second is e-bike, and that's exactly where India is also moving towards. The roadster bike is now getting lost its touch with the young public and the youngsters. So most of you might be knowing bicycle standards today, the safety standards are voluntary in nature. The OEMs and vendors in India need not follow these. They can incorporate them by their own choice, their own testing methods, but it's not mandatory. That's very strange in India. But when the mandatory standards will come into India, what will happen? We require testing of those standards. So we are working on enhancing the testing capability and the capacity of Research and Development Center for Bicycle and Sewing Machines. That's a nodal testing agency in Ludhiana. It's an automated process, digitalized. Then you can, there's no chance. You can produce consistent quality bikes. And this is what is required by the importers all over the world, where we are lacking. The largest markets are Europe and USA. And there are other markets also in Europe. The largest market is, if I'm right, is Germany. And Netherlands, Germany. All these markets are, the customers are so different. Very, very sensitive to the quality when they buy a bike. They want to know what is the force on the joints. They are so finicky. If they find out that, they reject the bike. But how can you do that? Why are they getting it from China? Why are they getting it from Japan? This is the reason, you know. So we have working mostly to improve the competitiveness of the industry. Hope it works out and do it. And that's all for that.
Two types of challenge and strength of bicycle. Strength में अगर हम देखें तो there are the very much scope of for bicycle industry from export market and domestic market. But there are availability of resources to grow up at the same breakdown due to some parts, semiconductor,
So the objective of this Power the Pedal campaign was to normalize the cycling by women workers, because when we talk, yes, we talk a lot about the cyclist, the cycling infrastructure and so on, but I feel like even in the gender discussion we often don't talk about the women workers who does cycling for their livelihoods. So the objective of the campaign was to make them visible on road space and talk about how the city infrastructure needs, and not only infrastructure but the societal norms also needs to change for these women workers who does cycling. So we started working during COVID, and we did a lot of focus group discussions with garment factory workers in Bangalore and with domestic workers in Delhi. And there were a lot of, although these women workers comes from a very conservative society, conservative family, they never had a chance to do cycling in their whole life. And women in their 40s and 50s, they were so enthusiastic about taking up cycling as a means of commute. That was very inspiring. And then we gave them we started doing a testing of which model they would like to ride. And we gave them during these testing phase, we gave them the gear cycle and non-gear cycle. And it was very surprising that most of the women said that they want to ride gear cycle. And then we started searching of different manufacturers that we want to do something like a gear cycle for the women who can also ride cycle while they are in their saris and their traditional dress and so on. Out to eventually to Hero, and they agreed to take this assignment.
So our friend from Nepal raised a very valid point of working together in collaboration. We see that the automobile industry is very closely connected, and they work as a unifying force. So it is very important that once this conference is over, we do not get into our own world and get busy. It is important that we stay connected and we work together, we lobby for all policies, infrastructure, so that our community becomes stronger. Starting from me, I am always available, accessible for any kind of help. And one request that whoever doesn't have a bicycle should buy a bicycle immediately. And it's a wrap to the first edition of the South Asia Cycling Conference in Delhi. And just a moment ago, this hall was buzzing with ideas, and a lot of people participated, share their knowledge. I'm sure if you watch the entire video, you've got a fair understanding what this conference was all about. And I want to thank the organizers for inviting me here, and special thanks to our partners, My Bike, Zad Bikes, Extreme Adventure Sports and Van Mobility for supporting us. So this is Vijay Malhotra signing off, and do subscribe to our channel. Bye bye.